So, we're here to talk about payment evolution, driving customer experience, and what does that mean to your e-commerce strategy and your growth ambitions. My name's Alpesh Manji, and I head up product solutions and experience at Barclaycard Payments. I'm joined by three very talented and inspirational ladies here. Harshna Cayley, who's the head of online payments at Barclaycard Payments. Scarlett, who's the head of marketing at eCommerce. And Lynsey, who's got a big job title, Head of Enabler and Small Business Europe at Visa. So that's us, and if we start kicking off with our first topic, so we're going to start off with state of the nation, current future trends and payments acceptance. So I want to kick off the first question. So Harshna, over to you. What do you think are the payment trends shaping the next 5 years for merchants and developers?
Look, there's so much going on in this industry and in this market, ranging from payment methods, payment choices, to real embedded experiences. The lines between face-to-face and online is really blurred now, right? And commerce and payments have come together, and that's what consumers expect. That's what small businesses in particular need to enable across multiple channels. Small businesses also need to be thinking about trends around data, AI, and how they use technology. So that's just a few trends.
Thanks, Harshna. So Lynsey, what are the hot topics that Visa are seeing?
Well, we passed a really interesting milestone in the past year that for the first time we saw online payments getting to the same value as face-to-face payments. So for every £1 that we spend in a store, we're seeing the same on digital channels like e-commerce. So that's created a real interesting shift in the landscape. It's so important that we get those digital experiences right for consumers, but we know that historically they can perform sometimes not so well. On online channels we see fraud sometimes 10 times as much as face-to-face, and sometimes approval rates are 5% lower. So that's really front of mind for merchants right now. They know that customers want to spend online, but they really need to ensure that they can get the experience of a face-to-face transaction in the same way in the digital channels. So there's been a lot happening to get us in that direction. The SCA regulation in the UK a couple of years ago has done a lot to help security. We've seen some great improvements there, but it is creating more friction at checkout. So those step-ups can be super painful for customers. So actually the real holy grail now is the ability to create really secure, robust transactions, and to do that in a really seamless way. So the big topics that we see that are helping merchants on that journey are a lot of great new solutions and technologies such as network tokenization, majorly important topic for merchants right now, and we're seeing a huge growth in the market, taking those sensitive PAN details out of the transaction online. We're also seeing the increase of new payment methods like wearables, digital wallets, biometrics becoming increasingly important. So we see that continuing to grow at pace, and we expect that to continue. And I think those are also bring us back to data, as Harshna mentioned. They're creating an ability to get a lot more granular payment data, but it's really surprising that small businesses aren't really leveraging as much as we would expect them to. I think 38% of small businesses are using that data available to them, and many simply haven't started to realize its benefits.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about payments data, right, if you're a small business, the power that it can give you is to help you with things like cart abandonment, trust, security, and it helps you drive kind of business decisions, right? And you often forget about the power that that data holds and how much that it can help you drive your business forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we see actually from that same research when businesses even access external data, almost all of them are saying they see a positive ROI. So I think we'll start to see that a lot more small businesses leveraging that data to make those business decisions.
Amazing. I mean, with that topic, we could talk for hours, and we only got 25 minutes, so we're going to whistle tour through a few things. So the next one we're talking about is how do we help small and medium-sized businesses make the most of their payments? So on that note, let's shift the conversation. So first, Scarlett, over to you. So eCommerce is very focused on making sure businesses get the right support, right? So where do you start?
For us, it comes down to choice, and we support people and retailers through choice. Aero's got its own ecosystem, so we can match retailers with the best solutions that are the best fit for their business. As an e-commerce platform, you can't offer everything yourself, so it's really important that we are partnered with the best in the industry to make sure that Aero retailers end up getting everything that they need. And the platform itself is partner agnostic, so technically speaking, a retailer can come to us with any partner solution, and that can be integrated into the platform, so they've got as much choice as they want to go with who they want freely. But when it comes to us choosing which partners we put forwards and kind of working out the best fit for a retailer, we have to do that really carefully. And we've got kind of like a 6-step matrix that we work through with retailers. So that covers things like cost, like the overall cost of the solution. Is it a cost-effective solution for the retailer? What's the onboarding process? Is it straightforward? What technology is used? Is it offering the latest in technology? What's the integration like itself? How stable is it? Is it going to be a long-term viable solution for the retailer? And lastly, the security, especially when it comes to payments and there's kind of all those implications with the checkout, it's got to be a secure software option for them. So once they've evaluated all that and we've discussed that with the retailer, we can be confident that we've supported them through that decision, and we know that whatever decision they end up making is ultimately the right fit for their business.
Thanks, Scarlett. Lynsey, how important are partnerships in the e-commerce landscape?
I think partnerships are absolutely vital, particularly for small businesses. We've seen another huge trend over the past few years of new services that are coming that are really focused around the niche needs that particular small businesses have. I think technology has really enabled a lot of that, and those new services are targeting small businesses and consumers, often in a very niche segment or sector, and really fit for purpose. Like, for example, the restaurant sector, helping them from bookings through to payment and everything in between. So what we are starting to see is that as those businesses are growing up, they're absolutely the experts in their industry, and maybe payments is an adjacent service for them. Rather than them trying to build the payments capability, they're partnering with the payments experts such as Barclaycard to bring them together and integrate them. So we're seeing best-in-class solutions coming when you've got that combination of the industry expertise, the software platform expertise, and the payments expertise. And I think the smart small businesses are those that are aware of that, and they're really scanning the market to find that right combination, and they're spotting those partnerships. And many of them are making choices for their providers based on the interoperability and the integrations that they have. We see now that in Europe, 52% of small businesses are using a software platform to run their business. And that's not just those driving the sales, but that includes their CRM, their bookkeeping. It's so crucial to them that they talk to each other so that they can really take away the time from stitching all the infrastructure together and just focus on selling and running their businesses. So spotting those partnerships and having those complementary partnerships are really driving forward, I think, our ability as an ecosystem to offer best in class to small businesses. And we also see that partnerships are driving innovation. I think, the example of Barclaycard working with Visa Acceptance Platform is a great one, really driving us to innovate and to keep evolving the platform that we have. So completely crucial.
Thanks, Lynsey. Harshna, what should we look for when choosing a payment partner?
Look, when small businesses are thinking about which partner to work with, it's really important for them to make choices around trust, who's going to protect them, who's going to offer the right payment options, who's going to enable the integration and the onboarding experience that's going to be seamless, right? So that's going to be really important for small businesses. Obviously, they'll be thinking about value and price. They'll be thinking about when am I going to get my money in terms of settlement, fraud and protection, right? So these are all the things that small businesses need to be thinking about. I'd say on top of that, what's going to be important for them is ensuring that they can run their business and know that they've got a partner that can safely handle the payment elements, and that the consumer experience is friction-free, that the experience is embedded within those commerce journeys, and that's really important. I think another angle to consider as part of small business decision-making is choosing partners that understand PCI DSS security protocols. That's so important in terms of handling card data and protecting consumers and also merchants.
Cool, thank you. So we move on to the next topic. So we often talk about merchants, but we also think about the decision makers and some of the key players in that kind of space when offering solutions. And actually the topic of the rise of the developer comes into play, right? So I think first question, Scarlett, how do you interact with all of these developer personas, right? There's so many, and they start from a one-man band to agencies like yourselves. And what approach to building your network of agencies can suit different client needs?
I think it's tricky trying to find like a one-size-fits-all solution, especially as companies and especially developers all prefer to work in different ways. But speaking from experience with Aero, one thing that we found works really well across the board with kind of our agencies and our developers is our approach to communication. So we've created a direct developer-to-developer communication environment using Slack. So all of our registered agency developers have direct access to a channel where they can speak freely with our platform team. And that direct developer-to-developer communication really helps break down any barriers. And all of the kind of disciplines that you'd need to build an effective e-commerce store are covered with our support team. So we've got our front-end devs supporting front-end devs, back-end devs supporting back-end devs, and then the DevOps engineers supporting the DevOps engineers. And we found that kind of direct environment where we're cutting out account managers and we're cutting out ticketing systems just really helps foster like a really healthy communication environment. And there's naturally, you touched on there, like lots of personas and people from different backgrounds, and even in our team, there's lots of different kind of personalities to deal with. But I think speaking from platform experience, the kind of shared understanding and the mutual ground of everybody wants to learn, everybody wants to get the best out of the platform, and they're all developers, they're all aiming to get the same thing. It breaks down any barriers that you would get kind of developer to non-developer, and we found that works really well.
Cool. Harshna, what about from a Barclaycard perspective? What's your kind of view?
Look, I think that we've started to spend much more time really understanding developer needs, developer experience. They're really important in the decision-making process for small businesses. Small business owners wouldn't necessarily be equipped to make those buying choices around who to integrate with. Are the APIs easy to plug into? Can I test and sort of ensure that the end-to-end journey makes sense? And they will rely on developers to be able to do that for them, and they'll have that trusted relationship. So when we're thinking about both developer experience, but also innovating and creating solutions, it's really important for us to continually tap into the voice of the developer, testing our solutions, seeking feedback, ensuring that the journey makes sense, that the tools, the documentation works for the developer community. And that's something that we've done in partnership with Visa Acceptance as well, in terms of the developer hub that we've brought to life through some of our solutions.
Brilliant, thank you. So I think that brings us to almost of a conclusion at the moment. So does anyone have any kind of last minute thoughts that they wanted to add to the topic? So Lynsey, can I kick off with you?
Sure, yeah. So I think at Visa we talk a lot about interconnectivity. We often refer to ourselves as a network of networks. We really work to find around the world the right partners, providers, solutions that are ultimately driving our payments to be the best way to pay and be paid. But the fact is, from a merchant point of view and a consumer point of view, they don't really care about what sits in the background. Ultimately, the goal is to ensure that they have the best experience, a frictionless experience at checkout. And sometimes it's important for us to remember that's the end game, and how we get there doesn't even always register on their awareness.
Brilliant. Harshna?
Look, from my perspective, having been at Barclaycard Payments and a few other payments organisations, what I think is very real is there is no one organisation or payment partner that can do everything that a small business would be looking for. So it's really important for each of the businesses that we're representing here, having worked together and actually stitching together the different capabilities that a small business would need. And taking that burden away from small businesses, right? If organisations can work better together around creating that interconnectivity and essentially enabling those connected commerce and payment experiences for consumers, which is ultimately what small businesses are looking for. And then, lastly, for small business, they want partners that will enable them to scale and grow, enable them to use their data to essentially really expand their business, and that's what partners play a role in doing that, right? So that's probably all I wanted to say.
Brilliant. And Scarlett, is there anything else you want to add from a developer agency perspective?
Echoing similarly to what's been said, I think we're each just one part of the puzzle, and it takes a collective effort to make sure that retailers do really well online, and I think we're learning that developers are a huge part of that as much as partners are and the agency themselves are, and it's just about acknowledging that and making sure that there is that ecosystem in place to make sure that there is everything that a retailer needs.
Amazing. So that's a short whistle-stop tour of e-commerce developers, payment ecosystem, and we could talk for hours on that, but can I just get a thank you to the 3 amazing panelists? And we're not going to do a Q&A, but for those of you that are interested, come to stand or to the area of N45. We've got drinks. We're around for any questions. And so drinks and refreshments on N45. And also if you flick to the next one, we've got, if you scan the QR code or the link up, you can find more information about the, our Barclaycard payment solutions, etc. Around that. So thank you very much.